Are you best friends with your spouse, or is it feeling more like a roommate situation? Well, regardless of where you fall on that spectrum, on today's episode, we're talking about real and practical ways that you can build and maintain friendships in your marriage. Okay, real talk here. At some point, this thing went off the rails. I don't know what happened, but we started talking about fighting in the front yard, Blair throwing chainsaws, and man hands. I don't know. This is Love Lessons.
Real life. Real talk. Real relationships. Faith-based tips, tricks, and challenges to improve your marriage and change your life. It's the Love Lessons podcast with your hosts, Christian counselors and marriage experts, Dr. Zach and Blair Gammon.
Hey there, and welcome to the show. This episode is titled Friends with Benefits.
Why'd you have to go and do that?
I had to make it awkward.
Yeah.
It's like clickbait. Why are two Christian counselors telling people to have friends with benefits?
Mm-hmm. So what do you really mean by that then?
You should be friends with your spouse, perhaps best friends with your spouse. Because if not, then you're in a long-term, lifetime contract with a roommate, and that sounds kind of lame.
It's the lease that never ends, if you will.
Do you think they keep raising rent?
Probably. Can't live on love, can you?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, so we're going to talk about why it's important to develop that friendship with your spouse if you haven't already. Or if you think that you have that friendship and that relationship, then perhaps just opportunities to make it stronger.
Yeah, continue cultivating that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. We have a fun fact, though, right?
We do have a fun fact. You're sitting in the fun fact.
I am. It's not been very fun, but we'll go with it.
But it is a fact.
It is.
Sometimes things don't work out the way you want them to.
Absolutely.
So if you listen to this podcast, we have a video on YouTube of the show along with the podcast. So this is like introducing friends from different worlds. If you listen but you never see us, welcome. There's a YouTube channel. If you only watch us on YouTube, there's an actual podcast on wherever you get your podcast from. This
it's like
feels
when
weird.
The Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean meet, isn't it?
Do they meet?
Yeah, there's like a clear line, right? Yeah, they meet. That's a thing.
There's a clear line where the Mississippi River goes out into the Gulf. There's a distinct
Okay.
line. Do they ever? Yeah, I think all the world's oceans are connected, aren't they?
That's how water works, Zach. Anyway, we're at home recording.
Sorry, I got way off track.
Train.
Anyway, so we hopped on a train and had to ride to our house. We're recording from the house. So sometimes things don't work out the way you want them to, and you have to make some changes and pivot in your relationship. Just like in marriage, just like in life, just like in parenting. So our son Judah, who just turned a year old yesterday, as of this recording, it's hard to coordinate childcare and work schedules and everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
And so after spending months and months planning and a gazillion dollars buying stuff for our Love Lesson studio that we used for all of 6 episodes, now we're recording in our house. So
we're at the kitchen table.
If you are watching this on YouTube, welcome to our home. It's not ideal.
No, and we hope to get back to the studio, at some point, but this is our backup plan to make sure that we are able to get content out there. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm having some COVID, PTSD flashbacks right now when everybody had to tear everything down and we started recording from home. And I'm like, oh, this again.
So I did a thing, though, since we're at home.
Okay.
We can't invite people over and not have it looking nice.
Okay.
So I decided to decorate
our
set a little bit here, if you will. I've got, it's fall. Happy fall, y'all. Some people are decorating for Christmas, but we're still fall over here. So we've got
pumpkin and corn.
A couple of pumpkins and a cute little corn. It's a corn on the cob, but not one you can eat. It's a decoration.
Right.
Yeah.
As are the pumpkins. I'm not going to eat those either.
Oh, no, I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay, well, if you're decorating, I'm decorating.
What did you do?
It's our gnome.
It's a fall gnome.
Okay, let's talk about this.
Is this the thing we're going to do right now?
Why do you hate gnomes? What did they ever do to you?
I do not care for the gnome decorations that are out these days. I did not care about them before they were big, and then they just like have blown up over the last several years.
Because they're awesome.
And so our friends know this. Zach knows this, and so he will go out and purchase gnome things. I think my dislike of them pushes you to love them even more.
Oh, absolutely. I don't feel strongly about them. The only reason I love them so much is because you hate them so much.
So one year he bought a bunch of gnome ornaments and a tiny tree to create a gnome tree. And then he bought an entire bathroom package that has like the toilet seat cover and the rug, and
I'll see if I can find a picture to share with our friends.
yeah, and it's Christmas gnome themed, and I hate that bathroom at Christmas time. It actually brings me rage. I'll open that door and I'm like, nope, I'm not going to use it, because if I do, I'm going to go in here and rage. That's what's going to happen. Makes me so angry. I think the fact that gnomes are everywhere, it's a trigger, to be honest. Like,
What kind of trigger?
they're not friendly little fellows. I don't care what they look like. They're not.
They're awesome. They're little white
Yeah, you
beards.
can't even see their eyes. You don't even know. There's cold deadness behind their eyes, but you never know it because they're always covered up by this big hat.
Out of all the things that somebody could get angry about.
It is the hill I'm dying on. Absolutely it is. The gnomes should go. I would vote them out today.
So you know what's funny is that a lot of our friends know this, and they contribute to your hate of gnomes.
Oh, yeah.
So at Christmas time, I almost always end up getting some kind of gift related to gnomes.
We did, Dirty Santa one year, and all of them were in on it to make sure that I picked the gnome present.
It was amazing.
And then one of them bought a little gnome for Judah for his baby shower.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, yeah, anyway. So, thanks for bringing that out. I'm feeling like we need to end the podcast now because I'm just keep looking at him. Ooh.
We're going to change the title of this episode to Gnome Rage. Okay, I'm going to move him.
Gnome Rage. Thank you. Move him.
I mean, he's going to...
Does he feel unsafe around me? Is that what it is?
Don't look at him.
Yeah.
He's fine. Everything's fine.
He's going to feel unsafe in a minute. So we're at the house. Let's get back on topic. We've decorated. Welcome to our home.
This is what it's like.
You're welcome here.
We faked it for you at the studio, but this is what really happens.
This is for life. So I want to jump in and talk about why being best friends with your spouse is so important. And if you are not friends with your spouse, how you can cultivate that in your relationship. And you might be listening and think, well, why is that important? Duh. Or you might be thinking, that doesn't sound like a big deal, or why is that important? It seems so inconsequential to my relationship. And so we want to jump into that and talk about why it really is important in your relationship.
Yeah. So I would consider us to be best friends with each other. And thank you for agreeing. That would have been awkward.
That would have been awkward, yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we are our only friends, because that doesn't give you a variety of people and input in your life. Some people have more friends than others. That's okay. But my point is, if we weren't friends with each other, I think our lives would be pretty miserable, right? Well,
you need some sort of foundation when the feelings of love, are gone. And that's not to say that they're always gone, but you certainly go through seasons where you are struggling to like the other person. And so you need something else to fall back on.
Well, and I mean, sometimes you just go even through days where it's just not a good day or you're worn out. For example, trying to set this room up to do this podcast in, we snapped at each other a handful of times, right? Trying to get the show on the road. And so the show is on the road because we're at home.
It took an hour to get the show on the road. And Zach says it'll take me 10 minutes to set him up. 10 minutes.
You want to look nice, don't you?
1 hour later.
Anyway,
we digressed.
We need marriage counseling. So, but if our foundation isn't built on enjoying each other's company and having fun with each other and pouring into each other, then the relationship can get into like these lulls really easily.
Right.
And so like not every day is going to be passionate. We're raising a now 1-year-old and we have teenagers that we're trying to take everywhere, and we're working, we're going places, and we have church responsibilities and all these things. Like not every day is going to be like hot and passionate. And so some days you just need to be able to hang out with your best friends while you're running errands. Like you got to go back to Kohl's for the 18th time this week to drop off, another Amazon package that Zach ordered. Just kidding, I don't return things. And you have to
triggered right now. Why'd you have to bring that up?
You have to go to the grocery store. You got to do this. You got to do that. If I'm doing that, I at least want to have fun with you, right? Otherwise, it just gets miserable.
I want companionship in that. And so
Yes.
sometimes it is, this passionate love affair. Other times it is this friendship. And I really and truly believe that that's what carries people through to having that multifaceted relationship with their spouse.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about that today.
Yeah, so we've got a handful of tips that are hopefully going to be beneficial. And if whether this is something that's never crossed your mind and you've never put any work or thought into becoming best friends with your spouse or even good friends with your spouse, or if you're somebody who you love being around your spouse and you guys want to spend all your time together, either way, these are things that you can use to build a successful friendship with your spouse.
Yeah.
Right? As you said earlier, you can't just live on love all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to live on like. Sometimes you have to live on tolerating the other person.
On toleration.
Yeah.
I'm on toleration these days.
That's
Yeah.
it.
What level are you? I'm level toleration.
That's good. We're going to trademark that. Nobody steal that before we get it trademarked.
Anyway.
You want to talk about these?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about
Yeah.
these. Okay, so the first one is spending quality time with each other. Maybe you should start a podcast. I don't recommend that.
How much quality time have we spent together through this podcast process? We've been together.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it quality.
A lot of times it's us just trying to get things done.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know that this qualifies.
But quality time. So people, I think a lot of times when people think of this, they imagine like we're cuddled up on the couch and we're snuggling and we're talking about our life's ambitions. That can be quality time. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing. But that's not what it always has to look
Right.
like. For example, our daughter Haven is she just finished weekly piano lessons on Saturday mornings for about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half. She is gone. And so we'll throw the baby in the car and we'll just go drive around, or we'll go get coffee, or we'll, nothing major. We might have to, go return something to a store or go do something. But we're just laughing and having fun, right? Last Saturday, we drove around some rich, expensive neighborhoods we can never afford to live in, and you yelled at me because I was on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Quality equals intentional.
Yes.
That is another
really
good word for that there. Because everyone has a different definition of what quality time is.
Yeah.
And so it's important that you have that conversation with your spouse. Like, hey, I want to spend quality time with you, and here's what this looks like for me. Because for you, it might really be cuddling on the couch with your phones put up and watching a show. But to your spouse, maybe the TV or any screens is a no for quality time. So you want to make sure you're speaking the same language regarding what quality time looks like. But don't make it bigger than it has to be.
Right. And I would also say don't take it to the extremes too, because I would argue that there have been times like that we have gotten to the end of a really long day or a really long week, and we're just like mentally and emotionally and physically exhausted. And sometimes for us, quality time is sitting beside each other. Maybe we're holding hands, maybe like our feet are touching or whatever, and we're scrolling through Facebook. We're not talking. We're just together.
We're allowed to do that, though, because we prioritize time together.
Yes.
So hear us when we say
Yes. I
that
agree.
make sure you're prioritizing time with your spouse, because if you're not, then Facebook and social media needs to go.
Yes, that doesn't need to be the only thing that
Yeah.
you're doing.
Yeah.
And so, for us, a lot of times quality time is just enjoying being in each other's presence,
Yeah.
We don't necessarily have to be talking or doing something. We're just spending time together.
Any time that you were spent in my presence is quality, absolutely. That included the hour you were setting up for podcasts that I was frustrated with you.
That's very kind.
Yeah. You're blessed.
Hashtag blessed.
Hashtag blessed. So the next one is communicate well. Ha ha ha. That's funny.
Okay, let Zach go on his pet peeve. First pet peeve, not everyone's a narcissist, right?
Right.
Second pet peeve, when clients come into the office and they say, we're just not communicating. What the crap does that mean? Tell me what that means. We're just not communicating well. And I say that as someone, you and I actually do this. When we're getting frustrated with each other, one of the first things that we say is we're not communicating well. When we're actually communicating quite well, we're just communicating in anger.
And we don't agree. That's the other thing I see
Yeah.
is you can communicate that the sky is red, and I can communicate that it's blue. And I hear you say that it's red. I just don't agree with your standpoint.
Right.
I don't agree with that view.
Right.
And so that's what people usually mean when they say, we're not communicating well.
Yeah.
No, you're just not communicating to the point where they're agreeing with your side of things. you heard each other just fine.
Exactly. Exactly.
So-
and your body language is saying a whole lot.
Right. So there's lots of different ways to communicate. Verbal is certainly the one that we kind of, hang our hat on, if you will. But our body language, our tone of voice, our body language, all of those things contribute to how we're communicating. And if we're doing that well or if we're doing it poorly.
Body language and tone have such an impact on how a conversation goes, whether that conversation is verbal or not. Even if I sit here and I start talking to you like this, it becomes very clear that I'm unhappy. And so I think it's important to recognize that if you've had a really crappy day at work and you come home and you're slamming doors and you're stomping around the kitchen and you're huffing and puffing and you go and sit down in the recliner and that's going to communicate something to your spouse. And if your spouse is in a rough place that day, what it might be communicating is that you're upset with them, right?
And then you might have a disagreement.
Right.
Out of nothing. Nothing happened except for perception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's such value in coming home, and if you've had a crappy day, being like, listen, I've had a really crappy day. I'm going to need you to have some grace for me. If you do talk to me and I snap at you, it's not personal. I'm not upset with you, and I'm not trying to take my bad day out on you either. Just give me a little grace. Maybe don't talk to me for like 20 minutes and let me see if I can get myself recentered.
It is the true, it's not you, it's me.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that in that same vein, maybe you've had a bad day and you need to vent to somebody and you just need your spouse to agree with you, even if you're wrong.
Yeah, we do that
Yeah.
in our house.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, oh, I need to vent about a situation. And Zach will say, do you need a husband, Zach? Or do you need therapist, Zach?
Yeah.
And I'll say, I want them both. I want to hear both of them. And then I choose the one I like the best, right? Which is usually husband Zach, because you're like, kill him with that chainsaw.
Right.
And husband Zach, or that's husband Zach, and therapist Zach is like, Blair.
Point of clarification.
Yeah.
Blair's not walking around with a chainsaw.
I would not even
One of
know
my
how
favorite.
to start one. To be honest, I would just throw it at him with little muscle and run the other way. To be honest, so it wouldn't kill him.
Getting pistol whipped with a chainsaw?
It wouldn't even maim them. To be honest.
Okay. Blair's not a murderer. I have a phrase that I found on the internet like 10 years ago, a little longer than that,
He
and I
uses
love to
it
say
all
it.
the time.
It's kill him with kindness. No, I'd love to kill you with kindness, but all I have is this chainsaw.
Yes.
So,
Thanks for the backstory there,
Well,
because it didn't make a lot of sense.
right.
Anyway, I'm out here throwing chainsaws, or you'll
Throwing
turn
fits
into
and throwing chainsaws.
throwing hands and chainsaws.
Oh, man.
Let me get
Anyway.
a shirt made. Anyway,
Oh, that's good.
gosh, I think I've.
That's going to be a
gotten
new love lesson shirt. Listen, it's at the end of the day, and my
think-
ADHD meds
I
have
think
worn
it's
off,
wearing
and
off on me. I don't even have ADHD. Anyway,
I have extended release medication. I'm on day like 3 of it now, and it's great until you reach the end of that extended period, whatever it is. I think it's like 6 p.m. I'm sorry. Proceed.
I was talking about how you were husband Zach or therapist Zach.
There you go. Okay. Please
Husband Zach
proceed.
co-signs everything that Blair says.
Absolutely.
Killer. Like, and obviously it's ridiculous, but,
Yeah.
and therapist Zach says, Blair, where were you wrong in the situation? And that's not comfortable. I don't like that.
Right.
But it is important for that self-reflection piece of things.
But there's value in when you're really frustrated, knowing that you're not going to be able to hear that and accept that, right? And so when you're upset and frustrated, I just need to co-sign. Or at the very least, I'm not saying you have to co-sign everything that your spouse says or does, but at the very least, just listen. Not be there to correct, not be there to offer advice.
We're not fixing anything at this point.
Sometimes the best thing that you can say is, I'm really sorry this sucks, and I'm sorry that you're having to go through it.
Yeah.
Is there any way I can help?
Yeah.
And so there's benefit to that.
So when it comes to communicating well, something to do, as we say, and you've heard us talk about, is being aware of your own, what you can control is yourself, being aware of your own thoughts, emotions, actions, etc. Why don't you go to your spouse, be vulnerable, and ask, what areas am I not communicating well? How am I poor in my communication, or what areas do I need improvement? How are we not understanding each other? Or I'm not conveying myself, or there's miscommunication, whatever it may be. Like, how can I help facilitate better communication in our relationship?
Yeah.
Because you're creating emotional intimacy when you're working on your relationship, but you're also vulnerable to ask those things, saying, hey, I know that I'm not perfect. Where can I grow? And then you're not upset with your spouse when they actually give you that feedback.
And that might be an awkward conversation if you've never had those kind of conversations before, or you are at a place where you've gotten really distant with your spouse.
Yeah.
That's going to feel really awkward. But there's some beauty in that intentionality till it gets to a point to where it doesn't become awkward. You don't have to be two marriage counselors married to each other to say, like, you know, is there a way that I could communicate better with you? And when it becomes part of your common vernacular, then it doesn't feel awkward when we have those conversations, right?
Yeah, I think if other people heard us talking to each other, they would think we were really odd in how we communicate.
Well, we are odd, but yes, they would be right.
I think they would think it was when we're not angry, when we're not in one of those situations, when we're really trying to handle conflict.
But I think it's intentional.
It is, but I can tell there are times that I look at it and I'm like, how are we adulting like this? Like, this is like prime grade A conflict resolution here. And I did not grow up in a household that resolved any conflict. We went out in the yard and fought each other. And that's not a lie, guys.
No, we literally threw hands in the front yard.
Threw hands in the front yard with each other. My mama, my grandmama, my sister. It was just part of what we did. So being able to handle conflict a little differently, I didn't think it was crazy then, but now it is.
This is turning into crazy. Like Love Lessons Confessions.
It's like Love Lessons
Oh, that's
after
a good
dark.
news. This is a good news segment idea. This episode is just like a stream of ADHD consciousness, and if you're still listening at this point, bless your heart. I'm not editing any of this. We're just going to roll with it.
Gosh, okay, can we move forward?
Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
Explore each other's interests.
If she wants to go fight out in the yard, that might not be one that you explored. You know, interests that are not going to get you, arrested with charge. Assault
fourth does not look good on your record.
No, they don't have
That's
Netflix in
violence,
prison. You
want to know something I just learned about prison recently, or county jail? It's not prison.
It's getting a little cozy these days, isn't it?
There is an app that you can get where if somebody on the outside has to load money, but if you have money in this account, you can tell somebody, I've never been to jail because I don't know how to explain it, but you can go and text people outside of jail.
Yeah, you have communicate. Yeah. Well, I mean, They get phone calls a day.
So they can even communicate well in jail. Yeah, they get phone calls, but now like they can go text people. You can have your e-cigs in jail. Like
3 hots in a cot, baby.
And
that's if I throw a chainsaw at somebody and it hurts them, don't worry, I'm going to a good place. Okay, 3 hots in a cot.
We can text.
And you can play spades in prison. We can text. Put money on my books for them ramen noodles. We'll be good.
I could see you shanking somebody in prison.
I don't think I'm going to hurt anybody, but you might have to. They say you're supposed to take down the biggest one in there.
Yeah.
Even if you don't win, just to try to let everybody know you're not afraid.
I'm going the opposite direction because I know I wouldn't win.
What are you going to do?
I'm just going to be their best friend. Like, you want all my food? Fine. Give me your protection. Like,
I don't think it works that way. We need to talk to our friends that have been to prison and ask them.
We have a surprising number of friends who have been to jail.
Absolutely. They all love Jesus, though.
That's right.
Anyway, exploring each other's interests.
I think maybe our interests are jail.
Oh, gosh. That's all I have to say about that.
Have you ever hosted a podcast before? This is ridiculous.
Okay. Exploring each other's interests.
Blair really loves to do basic white girl stuff.
I sure do. Sure do.
Hence all the fall decor that if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see in the background.
And the what you can't see.
Yeah.
To be honest.
There's even more. So, like, Blair's favorite way to end a date is to go get some Starbucks and walk around Hobby Lobby.
Or Second Charles.
Or Second and Charles. Or Kirkland's. Or
Home decor.
Did you almost say Home Depot?
Maybe I did.
That's my date. That is mine.
So, a lot of times you will come and get coffee with me and go because that's something that interests me.
Yeah.
And then there are times that we go to the Home Depot for you.
Yeah.
Maybe not nearly as much as you go to the Hobby Lobby for me, but...
There's only so much plywood you can look at.
Things are a lot cheaper at Hobby Lobby than they are at Home Depot. Refrigerators and chainsaws are at Home Depot.
And there are furniture pieces at Hobby Lobby.
I don't
that
ever
are
buy
even more.
those. You don't have to
That's
worry about
true.
those. No.
That's true.
No, yeah. It's just decor that I'm looking at.
But it's easy and it's simple. It's not like you're not asking me to learn how to crochet.
And you really like it now.
Yeah.
Like, you'll bring it up and be like, hey, you want to go do this?
Yeah.
Like, before, you might not have, but it's became a shared interest over time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also a really bad influence. I am the co-signer when you if you came to me and said I want to buy this like $1,500 chair. Well, okay, I guess.
You're like, yeah, girl,
I guess
that'll
I'll
look
go.
great. Let's
I
buy
guess I'll
it.
go work some extra hours and we'll do it. We'll make it
let
work.
me go get the truck. I'm the one that has to hold myself back at Hobby Lobby, and that just feels unfair. I feel like I should go in there and have rules that you put on me, not that I have to put on myself.
Sorry.
I have to tell you no on things.
I know.
So that's that's one of our shared interests.
Yeah.
We also have some shows that we like to watch together.
Yeah.
We have friends that actually, developed some shared interests together, and it was learning to golf after being married for 20 years.
Yeah.
And now they go on golf trips together.
I know. Which is not my jam, but happy for them.
Yeah. So exploring each other's interests, doing things that your spouse likes, even if it's not yours, because you're spending quality time with them. Right. But then also figuring out what your shared interests are and capitalizing on those. And just because you've been married for a lot of years and you've been doing something doesn't mean that you can't try to find a new interest.
Well, and it's funny you say that, because I have had worked with couples that have, they'll come in and say that we don't do anything together anymore. We don't like each other. It feels like we're just, on opposite ends of the spectrum on everything. You had to do something when you got, this is not the 1700s where we're arranging marriages anymore so that your, papaw can get some cows so they don't starve in the winter. I don't know where that came from, but
Weird flex, but okay. Yeah.
But there was something that attracted you to your spouse in the first place. So what is it that you can do that can get you back to that point? What did you do that you're not doing now? Or what is it that you can do? Just a little bit of intentionality goes a long way. And guess what? You might go out with each other and you might realize, okay, we're not really having a good time. This really sucks. That doesn't mean you stop trying. You just go find something else to do.
Right. You may realize that you only married the person because you had great chemistry, sexual chemistry, or
then go have
common
more sex.
interests or something. You know what I mean? You might realize that your relationship is not nearly as deep as you would hope it would be, but that doesn't mean that you can't create that, right?
Yeah, start there. If you got together because you were both super attracted to each other, then go have more sex. It's a simple way to build some really quick intimacy and go from there.
Build on that.
Yeah. So go out to eat and have some conversations. Go
But you know the rule, right?
What's that?
You're supposed to have sex before you go out to eat.
Yes.
When you get to a certain age,
yes,
you pregame that way.
Can confirm.
Yes, that's how you do it.
Yeah, because if not, then both of you are at home at 8 o'clock, bloated, and you're laying on the couch, and you're like, oh, sorry, babe. Can't do it.
And you're also tired.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
You're real tired.
Yeah. You should also celebrate each other's differences.
Yes.
You are not meant to be the same person and have the same interests. You want to share interests, but you also need to celebrate that they are a unique individual.
Yes.
That God made them that way.
Here's what I know about my wife. Like a predatory car loan at the dealership, she has 0% interest in anything techie, nerdy, computer related.
Science fiction, none of it.
That's my jam.
Yep.
I will find the dumbest sci-fi movie on Netflix that is they're not even D-list actors. They're R-list, and it is poorly produced, and it's worse than the crappy horror films. And
I'm surprised they even made it to Netflix.
I will watch. Well, they're actually on Amazon Prime. They don't usually make it to Netflix.
Okay.
Amazon will take anything.
Yeah.
It's kind of like country music. They'll let anybody sing. Anyway, the point is, I love that crap. I eat it up, and you will look at me and be like, "What is wrong with you?"
I'll usually leave the room.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you feel that rage, kind of like you do about gnomes.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's not your thing, and it's never going to be your thing, and I don't expect it to be your thing, right?
I think it makes you nerdy, but I also celebrate that because, the whole marry the nerd in high school adage.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I did it, and
Yeah.
it worked out really well for me.
Yeah. I mean, look how cute I am.
You had a glow up for real.
Right.
So, that's really not fair in life, how men get better looking and women don't.
I think that you look great.
Thank you, but, in
I
20
think you
years,
get more beautiful every day.
that's the right answer. But also, in 20 years, you're going to have like the silver fox situation going on, and I'm
It'll
going to
be
be...
in 5 years, not 20. but
Okay, well, you know what I mean.
Right.
Like, men get better with age, and women usually go the opposite direction. So,
I'm here for all of it.
that's one of the questions I'll ask God.
Why?
That's a why for me.
Is that really? Because, I have so many questions. I'm going to drive him crazy.
Earthside, that's my question. I might get there and change it up a little bit, depending on what's going on up there. But
Why'd you let stink bugs on the ark?
yeah, that's a good one.
Right?
It said animals. It said insects too, didn't it? That's an insect.
Yeah.
And everything died. Anyway,
But there were 2 of them on the ark.
there's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Why was it locusts? This is very insect related. It's not the direction I meant to go. But what was the fruit she
You
ate?
love a good theme, huh? Yeah, what was the fruit? That's a good
It wasn't
one.
an apple.
Right.
What kind of fish swallowed Jonah? It never said it was a whale. Right.
Yeah.
How did the dinosaurs fit in to all of history?
Yeah.
And what was their relevance?
Sure.
Are there aliens? And if so, how does all that work?
We're getting a little too sci-fi for this is not a shared interest that we have.
No, you're celebrating my different interests.
I'm celebrating it.
And the rest
by
of Love
saying,
Lessons is too.
Can we move on now? Because you there was a big wide turn from dinosaurs to sci-fi.
I can't wait to look at the stats of downloads for this episode. And see where listeners drop off.
It's already happened.
Okay, we're talking to the void at this point.
Okay.
Bless you. Our 4 friends that love us, they're the only ones listening.
They just have it on in the background. They're not really listening.
The next one is affirm and acknowledge qualities that you love about each other. Don't assume they already know.
So if you told her she was pretty, one time the day you got married in her wedding dress, and
In
you haven't told her that,
1976.
in the last 45 years, then you might want to tell her she's attractive.
Yeah. If your husband is always doing and serving, and he's working 12-hour shifts, 8 days a week trying to provide for the family, let him know that you're thankful for him.
Giving your spouse praise and acknowledging and affirming what good they do does not take away from what good you also do. It's not a competition.
And even if you're upset with them about something, giving them praise is not negating the fact that you're upset.
Right.
You're not losing your right to be upset over something.
You can be upset and also be somebody who works hard for your family, but give praise to your spouse who is working hard for your family too.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be one or the other.
There's never been a time that you or I have been mad at each other about something that I haven't still been thankful that you serve and love in the way that you do,
Yeah. There's always something to appreciate about your spouse. And so a good thought that you could do here, a good action item would be, if you think a positive thought about your spouse, make a habit of verbalizing that. If you're with them, verbalize it. If not, send them a text, write them a note, like something that you can do to give them positive praise and affirmation and show them appreciation.
Yeah.
That goes so far. There's so many relationships where that is not normal or that's fallen off, right? Because life gets in the way and we're not as intentional. And so reinvigorating your relationship with that can be really life-giving.
How many times do we just send each other a random text in the middle of the day? It's like, hey, I love you.
A lot. If I haven't gotten one by 10 a.m., I'm like, is he dead? Did it happen? Did he mess up with the chainsaw?
Did somebody throw a chainsaw
Somebody threw a
at
chainsaw at him? Oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
Where's the life
I
insurance
file for
policy?
life insurance? Lots of questions. But yes, we make it a point to be really intentional in our day about checking in, calling each other. I mean, this morning I left the house and you didn't know I was leaving and you texted me and said, what are you doing? Where are you going? Not in a controlling way,
Right.
but can I come? What's
Right.
going on? I'm at work, but I want to come with you.
Right. Thanks, Life 360. So,
No, this is not a sponsored ad.
Play together. Laughter and fun are keys to building a good relationship. Mm-hmm. Like us making fun of each other in chainsaws right now.
Yeah. So Zach and I were sitting and asking each other questions the other day. Came across a list of questions to ask your spouse, which we love doing those. Yeah. We love doing those things. If you've never done it, you can Google, Pinterest, look them up online. Questions to ask your spouse. You can do it if you're riding in the car or you're over dinner. Thought-provoking things that have conversation. But we were doing one of those the other day, and it was talking about the things that you love the most about your spouse. Yeah. Or 3 adjectives, right, to explain your relationship.
Yeah.
And we both said the same 3, I think. Yeah. But the first one we both said was humor.
Yeah.
Because that's really important to both of us, that we have a good time, Temperamentally, personality-wise, we, like to have fun.
Right.
And we like to do that with each other because we're best friends.
I mean this very seriously. I make it my mission to make you laugh as much as I can. Just because I just enjoy it,
Mm-hmm. He gets praise when I laugh and giggle at him.
That's it. It's just more words of affirmation. The tail starts wagging. I'm a good boy. I'm a good boy.
I'm so funny. People like me.
That's it.
You're the comedian. You're the jester.
That's it. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Let's get into dysfunctional family roles. But trying to find ways that you all can have fun and laugh. And
you're the raccoon.
Why am I the raccoon?
Because you're not scrapping in the front yard.
Do they do that? I know they get in your trash. That's why you call them trash pandas.
Have you ever came up to a raccoon? Those things are vicious.
No, I haven't.
You've never had a
I've
run-in with
never
a
met a raccoon before. No, I've never had one.
They hiss at you? They chase after you?
No, I lived in the city. I didn't live in the country.
Heavens to Betsy.
No. Why do you call me a raccoon for? I thought it was because of my makeup or something.
Anyway, the next one's be gentle with each other.
Let's be honest. Blair does not do the best job with this.
No, but this doesn't mean that you have to walk around and walk in at the end of the day and be like, "Hello, dear."
Not on eggshells.
No, but that's not fair for you to say that you're not gentle either. Because if I'm having a really bad day or if I'm having a struggle, I think we referenced it in the last episode or the episode before, that where several weeks ago when we were recording. I had a good old Minty B in the it's mental breakdown.
I got it. Yeah. Thank you.
I was trying to be cool like the kids.
Were you trying to make me laugh?
No, but I had a high speed come apart, and it was just a really hard day. It was really bad. There was honestly nothing was particularly wrong. I was just overwhelmed and had a freak out. And
there were some medication changes, guys, that contributed.
It was just a rough day. And you were incredibly gracious, and there was no get yourself together or what is wrong with you or why are you being this way. It was just okay, let's talk about this. Or do you just need to sit here and let it all out?
So what I'm hearing is that you're telling me I'm perfect.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's chainsaws and raccoons and all. But no, seriously, just being there for the other person and recognizing that when they're having a bad day that you can be there and that shoulder to lean on. There's so much power in that, and you just create safety in the relationship. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. So
this might also be another area where you can do some self-reflection. Kind of like asking your spouse, where can I improve my communication? Maybe you ask where you can improve your gentleness.
Yeah.
And that's also a fruit of the Spirit. But additionally, where can you do some self-reflection? Because you might not have realized that your body language was not, promoting the most gentle spirit that you had. Or, maybe you were a prickly little cactus. Cactuses are cute. Cacti is the plural. They're cute, right? People love them. They love putting them, in decorations and whatnot, especially if you're out in the West. But
what's your point?
I'm getting there. But they're prickly. If you get too close, they will poke you if you're not careful. And so sometimes we are cute, prickly little cactuses that anytime anybody gets close enough to give us some emotional love or whatever, they get stabbed. And after you get stabbed so many times, you stop going around anymore. You stop trying to, you don't want to get hurt anymore. So you stop. So,
what do I do with my hands?
Exactly. So instead of saying, why do people not want to have relationships with me? Like, we need to do some self-reflection and say, where am I not contributing to relationships, or where am I not putting my best foot forward? Where am I hurting others?
And that's actually something that we have it's meant with humor, but that's something that we have started saying to each other in the last couple of years when we're a little rah with the other person. It's like, oh, you're being a little prickly right now, aren't you? Is it a little cactus
And it's
day?
a good check. It's hey, but it's also done in humor.
Yeah.
Without judgment. Just like,
Yes.
hey, what's going on? I'm getting these vibes from you.
And when it's done that way, then the other person doesn't have to feel defensive about it.
Yeah, I'm not like, what are you saying to me?
Right.
Because then I'm like, ooh, am I being a little prickly? Yeah. I wouldn't want to be around me right now.
Right. And sometimes the response to that is, I'm sorry, I'm just really prickly. Like, love you, go away.
Yeah, let's not talk for a few.
Right. So, but, and here's a good check too. If you find yourself and you're having frustrations with your spouse, the very first thing, see if you cross your arms when you talk to the other person.
Yep.
Because that communicates a whole lot right there. Arms crossed means that I'm closed off, I'm protecting myself.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you.
Another one, females do a lot. I'm sure males do this as well, but as a female who does this, head bob.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when you're talking to somebody and you're bobbing your neck.
Or the eye roll.
The
so
eye roll.
dismissive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big sighs.
Yeah.
Yep, all of those things are contributing. You didn't have to say anything at all, but everything you
said
did
so much.
said so much. Yep.
And silence can say a whole lot too.
Glares. Good old Blair glare.
Blair glares. They are vicious.
I got it from my Goggy.
Transparency.
We didn't fight in the yard. Her and I didn't.
Goggy is grandmother for the people out there who don't know what Goggy means. Nobody ever knows what Goggy means. Goggy is what you called your grandmother.
Yes, but I think these days people could figure that out because people are giving grandmas many names these days. It's not
It's not Meemaw anymore.
No, it's like giggity goggity goo and whatever else. Ninny, minnie, mammy,
Eeny, meeny,
Gammy,
miny, mo.
Gurmy. There's just any number of. So I'm sure the people figured it out.
We should have treated this episode
It's a
like
hodgepodge.
a kid going to the bowling alley.
Okay.
Should have put up the rails because we have gone way off.
Yeah.
We are so far.
It's like that song American Pie. It's like a melting pot.
We've driven the Chevy into the levee.
That's it. I don't know where I was going with it, but thank you for pulling that one out.
I don't know either. At first, I thought you were talking about the movie American Pie. And I was like, that's not appropriate.
I was
Blair.
thinking about it. Didn't it talk about a melting pot in that song?
I don't know.
This show is just a melting pot. It's like soup.
It's not a melting pot. This show is a hot mess.
It's a hodgepodge.
Anyway, be transparent with one another. Don't limit your conversations to reporting the events of the day. Be real with how you feel. I feel like this is a train wreck.
But really though, it's pretty common where people will say, he knows how I feel. She knows how I feel. I've told him before. Well, maybe you told them a long time ago and they don't really remember.
Or you said it with anger and malice.
Yeah, or you were indirect in your communication where you laid out some breadcrumbs and you expected them to pick those up and create a piece of bread out of it to read your mind, And so being transparent and over-communicating how you're feeling so that you're on the same page.
Yeah.
Right? And have conversations about lots of things, not just, hey, will you feed the dog? And, hey, will you water the flowers? Like, we're not just communicating about the operations of our house or how we're parenting our children.
Or complaining about work.
Right. Yes, we have to talk about some of those things. But we are much more than human doings. We are human beings.
Yeah.
And when we are doing all day, checking off things and tasks and communicating with the other person who's supposed to help us with those things, we're not emotionally connecting. We're not being with that person.
Yeah. So, again, this is everything on this list, starting it is going to feel weird, right? Like, if all you ever do is come home and you're like, hey, how was work? It sucked. Hey, everybody, I'm going to bed. And then suddenly you're like, someday I might like to go on vacation to a new place. It's going to feel weird. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. It's like we've said so many times, these things are like riding a bike. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be hard. You're going to fall off. but it doesn't have to be that way forever. You have to train yourself.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's like running a marathon. You're going to get out there and train. You're not going to get out there and run it perfectly.
Exactly.
Don't stop just because you can't run 26.2 immediately.
Right. So
Be real with how you feel.
Here's the thing too. People so often, when they start something like this or they try these new things and they don't work, they just immediately throw in the towel.
Oh, yeah. Or they'll come to therapy and say, I tried that thing. It didn't work.
Right.
And I'm like,
Oh, you tried it once, but here's the deal. If it's something that you really care about and that you prioritize, you're going to figure out how to become good at it.
Yeah.
If it's a new hobby that you want to do, you're going to put the work in and figure it out about how to be the best or how to enjoy it or whatnot. Why are you not treating your relationship that way?
yeah. Or are you just waiting for something to come up that is an excuse to why you can't be good at it and you can blame somebody else?
Exactly. So, and then finally, learn to fight fair. So a lot of this, if you haven't listened to our previous episodes, they're much more well produced and thought out.
I think it's because we're at home.
I think so.
I think we're a little more comfortable.
And it's the end of the day too. And we're ready for bed. I mean, it's past your bedtime at this point. Learn to fight fair. Go back and listen to the previous episodes. When we talk about the pursuer distancer traits and we talk about those marriage myths and all of those things that go into developing a healthy relationship, learn to fight fair, learn to put your best foot forward in these conversations, and it can have such a huge impact. Even just if you are somebody who comes home and there's just such tension in your house every single day, a small change can make a huge impact. Especially you do that 3 or 4 days in a row and you're going to watch stuff start to change.
Yeah. If I have ever been to your wedding and you've ever done one of those, give us some life advice as we go into our relationship, our marriage, I have always written, remember that you're on the same team.
Yeah.
Because so many times when disagreements pop up, we take, our different corners of the ring, if you will, and we're fighting each other, when in reality, we need to be working together towards the issue.
Because, well, not because, but as an aside, if you come into marriage counseling, you and your spouse are not my clients. Your marriage is my client.
Exactly.
Your marriage, your relationship is what I want to see succeed. And sometimes you get in your own way.
Yeah, if you come in fighting, I'm going to let you do that so I can kind of see some dynamics and understand what's really going on. But I'm not going to do that for very long or too many sessions, because at that point you're not learning anything, you're not growing, you're not getting any new skills. You're just trying to get me to mediate and or tell you if you're right or wrong in your disagreement.
Yeah. And guess what? You're both wrong.
You're both being butt heads. I think I said that last week.
It's worth repeating.
Yeah.
This episode of the Love Lessons podcast is brought to you by Crosspoint Theological Seminary. CTS offers online education and degree programs in the areas of Christian counseling, life coaching, business management, and church leadership. Learn more and apply online at www.crosspoint.education. Plus, use code LOVE on your application, and CTS will waive your enrollment fee. Crosspoint
So do we wanna
Theological
talk about how you
Seminary
did me dirty
provides
this
an
week?
affordable, quality Christian education
Tell 'em what you did,
to
Zach.
move your
Tell 'em.
ministry forward.
This was, hands down, some of the most fun I've ever had. Okay, so we're going to show a picture on the YouTube channel. So if you're watching, you'll see it here in a second. If you are listening to this podcast, I need you to stop what you are doing.
Unless you're driving. Don't
Wait,
stop
yes,
that.
just take your hands off the wheel.
Oh no, Zach said stop, put it in park. Going 60. Oh no.
Anyway, if it's safe, if you're changing the baby's diaper, please don't let them pee all over the place. You can tell what I do these days. When you can get to a stopping point, go to our Facebook page and look at the picture that I've posted. So AI is doing fun stuff these days, right? Like it helps you, it can help you write scripts. It can help you create really cool photos and whatnot. So at Revive Counseling Center, there's a plug, where we have the honor of serving. We were updating your staff photo. You don't really care for the one that we have. You wanted something that you feel like looks a little more like you. So we took an old headshot that you had done previously, but it wasn't quite big enough for how we have the rest of our headshot set up, right? So we were just
Right.
trying to use something else. We didn't have to recreate everything. So that was the point. So what I tried to do is I went into an AI photo editor, which I've never used before, and I asked it to expand, because it kind of like cut you off at the shoulders, and so we needed some more arm to be able to see. So I needed to create some fake
Kind of like
arm.
you need more cowell. We needed more arm.
Right.
Yeah.
I needed a little more so it wasn't like squared in on your face.
Got it.
So AI is just not good with hands. So this is the picture. Here's the picture. It gave you like claws.
It looked like a goat hoof
Yeah.
with an extra finger in there.
It was creepy.
It created my body, which that body doesn't exist, guys. But also, it has me clasping what I think it's considering to be hands. And it just looks like, it looks like something that needs to be repaired at the hospital, to be honest.
So it's amazing. Okay.
So
here's the thing. Let me be clear. I got your permission before I
he
posted
said,
this.
please, it would make my life if you let me post this on Facebook, please. And so, being the good wife that I am, I wanted to
Yes.
make your life. And I said, sure, have fun.
And I had a great time.
So it wasn't the posting the picture that you did me dirty.
Mm-hmm.
It was all of your comments. He just had a ball.
Every time that I thought of something, I went back to Facebook. So all these comments aren't on the Love Lessons page. This was our personal page that I posted, and everybody got a laugh out of it. Several people were afraid for my life, not just because of your hands, but because they thought that you were going to kill me for real for posting that.
I was going to get out my chainsaw.
Right. Here's the deal. Somebody told me this recently. If I ever went missing, everybody would believe it was you, but nobody would fess up and say you did it.
My friends are going to take care of
That's
me, aren't
right.
they?
Because they know how I am. So every time that I thought of something for this picture,
Honey related.
yes, I went back and posted it. And so it just kept going, kind of like those hands.
And I didn't see any of this because I was working all day long. I was being productive.
As was I.
And then at the end of the day, I open up Facebook and I see this barrage of comments and tons
Yes.
that you've posted. And I almost peed myself at one point. I was laughing so hard.
So let me share. So not all of these are mine. Some of these other people have thrown in too. But listen, all of our friends had a great time. Okay. So my first one, hand monster is coming for you in your sleep. It's terrifying. Our friend Dan said, Blair is very caring, but will also slap you into next week. Tread lightly. Mine, she's always willing to lend a helping hand, but nobody accepts her offer.
Yeah.
3 thumbs down for this one. She gives a mean high five. I'm laughing at
That
these.
was so mean.
I'm enjoying these all over again. Oh my gosh, this is great. Let's just say she's a handful. Tyler said, grab my strong hand. Cindy said, hey, I bet those come in handy. She also said it's a good thing Blair's not a proctologist. Amen. And then she said, she's so handsome.
Yep.
I later said, I appreciate the all hands on deck approach everyone's taking with this picture. They say idle hands are the devil's playground, and clearly Satan has been doing some work around here. That's great. Somebody did ask if, because this is for the website. This is the whole point of this. This is for the Revival website. We were trying to update your photo. And somebody said, please use this on the website. Like, this is...
No, we're trying to get people to come get help, not think that I need help.
Yeah, so please enjoy the hands.
But they're not my real hands, guys. Like, see, these are my real hands. If you're looking, like, I have normal hands.
Go to Facebook and add your own hand puns. It'll be glorious.
Somebody called me handsome. I've always wanted to be handsome.
That's good times.
Yeah.
So I caused quite the controversy at church the other day.
What did you do? I can only imagine. What was it?
So this was during our early service. You typically come to our late service. Haven was there, our daughter, and she's nosy. And so she was looking over my shoulder when I was texting you about something, who knows what. And maybe I was sending you a picture of hands. And she realized that you're in my phone as Blair, which seems totally normal to me, considering that's your name. And I am in your phone as Zach because, again, that's the name that my parents gave me. It's my government name.
Yeah. They held you up like in The Lion King. Zach. Yeah.
And so I don't think that's how it went, but that's not the point. Haven was appalled, aghast, if you will. Her entire worldview came to a shattering halt.
Her opinion of us changed dramatically.
Yes. She thinks that it is absurd that we just have each other in our phones as the other person's name, which makes total sense to me because that is your name. But
it's too formal.
She was offended.
And she got people in on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Brandy, a friend of ours, shout out if you're listening. Hope you're still around. She also let me know that was too formal and inappropriate. Like she might be questioning whether or not we love each other.
Yeah.
We might as well just call this show Lessons. There's no love in it anymore.
No love, just some lessons.
I just came to me. I'm so proud of myself.
Yeah, because we don't have like sweet nicknames like Honey Bunny.
She has. If you ever call me Honey Bunny, I'm gonna slap you with something. One of those man hands.
Chainsaws.
Those chainsaws. So, like, Brandy's. What does she have?
My Sweet Husband.
Yeah. So Charlie's in her phone as My Sweet Husband.
I think she's got some hearts in there too.
Gross.
We don't even have any emojis.
No, and that's what she
like
said.
Zach with a heart.
She was like, "Can you at least put a heart in there?" And I'm like, "Her name's not Blair Hart." Like, no. And so,
I think that's her new nickname, Blair Hart.
Blair Hart. Roger, one of my fellow pastors at Matthew's table, his wife Brittany is in his phone as Lil Mama. And I really hope, I don't know, but I really hope that she's in his phone or he's in her phone as like Big Daddy. That would make my life.
I'm sure that that's actually true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
We don't have anything like that.
No, and then like, you're not boothang. You're not like.
No.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So like, I want a poll.
Yeah.
Is it just our friends that have their spouse with like sweet nicknames and or emojis like hearts and kisses and stuff? Or does everyone have their spouse in their phone as their name?
The day that I put an emoji beside somebody's name in my contacts is the day you take my phone from me.
You can't be trusted with it anymore.
This is a hill I'm dying on.
Oh my gosh, now I feel like I need to conform and go put some hearts by your name.
I will say, don't do it. I will say, don't bend to the pressure.
I need to know what people are doing so I can jump on board.
But here is what this. No, I could never do this.
Okay.
I don't know. My parents, at least my dad, is very formal. He has my stepmother in as Susan Gammon.
That's a little formal for me.
Right. Here's what you can do. Put Dr. Zach Gammon in your phone.
I will not. I will not.
So that's...
I'll tear up your doctorate degree before I do that with my chainsaw.
And those claws of yours.
Yeah, and my man claws that I've got. My lobster claws, if you will.
So we want to know,
Yeah.
Do you guys... Do you still love each other, or do you have emojis in your contacts by their name?
I want to know which camp you fall in.
Sound off. I'm going to create a poll on Facebook. This is going to be on our Facebook page.
I'd like that. I like that very much.
We'll see what people say. We'll talk about it in the next episode.
Okay. Do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It is my equivalent of fun fact.
Okay.
We've got some dirty laundry.
I hate doing laundry, babe.
This is going to be fun, though.
Please don't let me do laundry.
No, you're gonna, I need your help with these.
Okay. Oh, these are our questions.
These are our questions.
Okay.
So if you guys were watching in previous episodes or listening, then we commissioned everyone to send us their questions about relationships, whether they wanted to put their names on them or do so anonymously. And so we've got a couple here that we're sending that we want to go over.
So these are anonymous today, and that's totally okay. So here they are. So the first one is, my spouse and I hardly talk to each other. When we're at home or even out to eat, we just sit on our phones the whole time. We've been married for about 10 years now, and it feels like we've ran out of things to talk about. How do I start a conversation about this? So step one, rewind and go listen to this episode again.
Right.
But no, seriously. So when people start feeling like this, in my experience, they start blowing it up in their mind, and it becomes this big thing, and they're really, it just makes them feel really weird. Have a small conversation. Babe, I feel like we have drifted apart and we don't really talk a whole lot anymore. And it feels like we're always on our phones. Is that something we can try to do better at? 9 times out of 10, you're going to have a response like, sure, yeah, okay. Give it some time. It's not going to be like immediate. You're probably going to slip back into old habits because it's a habit that's created, but give it a few tries. If you see it happening again, don't like nag and berate, but just say, hey, remember we said we were going to do this. Can let me put my best foot forward here and try to lead by example here. Just start a small conversation. Just bring it up.
That's a good point, is if you have a spouse that's defensive, or if this is a pressure point for you all, you bring up, here's what I'm seeing. How can I make changes in our relationship? What can I do what do you need from me in this way? So that it's not just you saying you never, it's you taking accountability and responsibility and saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start putting some actions into it instead of blaming you that you're not. So the next question says, I can't get my wife to get out of the house and do things. She always wants to sit at home. I like to go out to eat, hang out with friends, etc., but she's not interested in doing any of those things. What can I do?
So in this scenario, my first response to that is that I want to flip the script on you. What are you doing to help your wife at home and enjoy things with her around the house? So some people are introverts and homebodies, and their default is that they don't really enjoy going out. On the flip side of that, some people are extroverts, and they love going out and being with people. Many times those people marry each other.
Many times. Many times.
Right.
This
More
is a
often
common
than not.
conversation. Yes.
And so these aren't bad things. However, if you are always pushing, and maybe this is a situation where you're the wife and your husband wants to stay at home, and that's not the case like this gentleman here who says it's his wife. But regardless of who it is, are you always pushing that other person to go out, or are you doing things with them around the house? A great date night can be hanging out, watching a movie, eating some popcorn at home, or order DoorDash or something like that.
Do a puzzle.
Yeah, but try to find some compromise and some common ground with the other person. If you guys have set a weekly date night, and one week you do something at home and the next week you go out, then both of you are compromising. Yeah, it's not your favorite thing to sit at home, but if you're being intentional about doing something with the other person, it's still shared intimacy. It's developing shared interests, spending quality time, all those things that we talked about earlier in this episode. And then that's going to make them more apt to be willing to do things with you.
Right.
So create that environment where they feel comfortable, and then they're going to be much more apt to want to do those things with you.
Yeah, find balance so both of you are getting your needs met, so that you are, outside of the home, but also inside of the home. And if your needs to be outside of the home are great, then maybe the agreement is that your spouse is only doing that with you once or twice a week, but that they're okay with you going out with your friends by yourself. That doesn't mean that you have to stay home. There's just an agreement, and you have to set some parameters and boundaries about what that looks like, but it doesn't mean you have to stay home, just like it doesn't mean that person has to go out all the time. Let's find some balance.
Exactly. And then finally, the last question. So this one is kind of challenging, but it's a really good question. My husband has gotten really hateful lately and won't tell me what's going on. Whenever I ask him what's wrong, he either snaps at me or blows me off. I'm not sure if he's having an affair, or if he just doesn't love me anymore, or if it's something at work. Please tell me how to fix this. It is killing me inside.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah, it really is. Especially because this person has said, when I ask, I'm either snapped at or blown off. So they have tried to open the doors of conversation with their spouse to figure out what's going on.
And sadly, this is a common experience that happens in a relationship.
So when emotional intimacy is not occurring, when those doors are closed, then this is a pretty common thing that happens. So I would say we first need to evaluate holistically what's happening in the relationship. You might say, my spouse is acting this way towards me, and I've asked them questions and they're snapping at me or blowing me off, and I'm not sure what's going on. What I would say is, let's take a step back Did you do something that hurt or offended them that you're not aware of, that they should be talking to you about, but they're not? So again, the only thing that we can control is ourselves. So let's take a step back and look at the relationship, because so many times, I can't tell you, people will come in and say, this is what's happening. And then when I ask, like, okay, like, what did you do to contribute? They tell me, and I'm like, well, no wonder they're acting that way, you know? So what are you doing to contribute to this behavior? And if the answer is nothing, then, okay, you have your answer there. At least there's nothing that you need to change about how you're acting. So the next step is digging in with that person and trying to figure out what the best way to communicate with them is.
Yeah, and sometimes it's having a blunt conversation and saying, listen, I've asked you multiple times and you keep responding to me in this way, and it is very hurtful to me, and it is very unfair. Or here's what I'm seeing, and here are my concerns. You're either having an affair, or something is going on at work, or it feels like you don't love me anymore. Please, can you just point me in the direction? Like this is really causing an impact. If it's still at that point isn't changing, and you're trying this graceful approach, then that might be time. It's time to like reach out to perhaps your pastor. Can we go talk to our pastor about this? Or will you go talk to our pastor? If you're not comfortable talking to me as your spouse, if it's something that's really bothering you, go talk to somebody else. Maybe you yourself can go seek out a counselor. The person, if they're not talking to you, they're probably not going to agree to marriage counseling. That doesn't mean that you can't go to counseling to deal with this, because if it's, in your words, if it's killing you inside, this is major. Go talk with a counselor, go talk with your pastor, somebody who can give you some support and some insights on how you can emotionally take care of yourself while you're dealing with this.
Yeah, you cannot change if your spouse is not talking to you. If they are dead set and dug in that they're not going to open up, you cannot change that. What you can work through is how you're handling that emotional rejection that you're feeling by them. You can encourage, you can love, but you cannot control them in that.
And it's, it's hard when you see a question like this, because there are so many variables at play about, you don't know the dynamics of the situation. But if you're connected in your local church, and your pastor or one of your deacons or whomever you connect with at church, they might know more about your relationship dynamics. And so if you go and say, my husband is behaving this way and I'm not sure what's going on, maybe they can say, well, I've kind of noticed that you guys maybe seem distant at church, or you're not, whatever. Local people have more insight, and then a counselor you can go in more depth with and talk in some specifics. So just reach out to people. And that's a good point too. If you're going through this and you don't have people, I'm not saying go and complain to other people about your husband, but if you're not connected in a local church body or with people who are going to point you to Christ, then this can feel like one of the most alone, isolating times of your life. Yeah,
you're on an island. The one person who's supposed to communicate with you is not, and you don't have anyone else in your corner to even help love and support you during it. So you need those people. We were created for community.
And the most important thing, I think, out of all of this, pray for your husband, pray for your marriage, pray that God would soften their heart and soften your heart if you're in a place of anger with them. Just ask for that help. But praying, there is so much value in praying for them and not just about them.
Yeah, and just keep at it.
Yeah. So thank you for those of you who did submit questions. Please do remember, you can always submit those on our Facebook page. Just search for Love Lessons, or send us an email, hello@lovelessons.fm. And if you do wish to be anonymous, just say that. We'll never use your name without your permission. But we appreciate folks connecting with us.
I don't like doing laundry, but I like the dirty laundry.
I agree. Hate laundry. Yeah. It's the worst. What do you think we wrap this puppy up?
Let's do it.
Listen, it's late. It's past your bedtime. It's almost my bedtime. I am so tired right now. Before we started recording this, I tried to make myself look somewhat presentable. You went to put on makeup. I did not put on makeup, but I did try to fix my hair. And I was so tired that I put beard balm in my hair and hair product in my beard. So I gotta go take a shower now.
Yeah, you do.
It's
yeah. I'm gonna turn into the pumpkin on the table.
Yeah.
It's so late at this point.
I'm just gonna spontaneously combust. Just
till tomorrow.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Hot Mess Express, otherwise known as the Love Lessons podcast. Who knows? Maybe we'll be doing this from the bathroom next week.
Yeah, you never know. Hey, hit that subscribe button and we'll send you a free chainsaw.
No, we will not.
Chainsaw with every subscription.
What is wrong with you?
It's too late. I'm getting a little slap happy.
Hey, this is fun though. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can go look at some pretty great bloopers as we have prepared for some of our previous episodes. It's not very
If
well
you
put
think this
together.
is bad,
Yeah, you should see some of those bloopers.
yeah,
It's
pretty
fun.
rough. Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Love Lessons Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.